Writing super study. Tell few lines to the students.
Good evening to all of you. So, I welcome all students who are interested for the seminar. Here today, our pride will say rank 2 of UPSC. Mr. Animesh Pradhan is one of our sir. We are lucky enough to ask you time to deliver a seminar. Now, you can interact the how
Writing Sebastian. So nothing but.
रियलाइज कली के माने जूनियर इंजीनियर कोन पाई चिंता करली कार तो गारे सबरे जो लाइन था ट्रांसफर
एडजस्ट कर देना
तो मोटे लेटर वाला दुनिया को सबसे बड़ा तो
थैंक यू
इसमें मोटे जे हेबा दरकार छोटा छोटा वाला आशा तो डिप्लोमा के लिए
ऑल
So what foreign activities are going on? So सेटा में कोई भी हमने जाने नहीं था कि हम केवल पिता बट जो पिता रहने था पढ़ना सरकार को जेई पाई जेई तो हला नहीं बट ता ऊपर माने एग्जीक्यूटिव इंजीनियर पोस्ट जोटा सेटा हला तो सेति में कि माने निजको पूरा ये न करी कि प्रिपरेशन करिवो फास्ट डिसाइड करिया दरकार कि कोन करिया आउ सबटु बड़ कथा हला हम ओडिसा रो सबले कोनति कि माने भलो रैंकर्स आसुनाती बट एबे हम सबले देखुछे कि बहुत भलो भलो रैंकर्स आसुनाती आ एतर तो हमर रैंक 2 आसिला हमर तो हमर एठु भी हम माने पाठ पढले भी रैंक माने भलो भलो रैंक भी स्टडी करबा हमर इंग्लिश के रैंक ओडिसा बहुत सारा सब्जेक्ट आ कलेक्टर केमती प्रिपेयर कले बहुत इजीली बट बट सिलेक्शन करे माने भलो रैंक
Yes, sir. Yes. We are seeing him every day in the class, but right now something different. Very happy. So please.
First of all, good evening to you all. Radha बोले good evening के. हो जाते हैं. Either in past or in future, neither past but not future. 100% what है? प्रोजेक्ट मेरा तो यही इस तरह के रैंक ला करके यहाँ पर खड़े हो. And today is not a human being. Today is the symbol of commitment, symbol of dedication, symbol of hard work, symbol of smart work, symbol of all over humanity. What जगन्नाथ जी ने given उन्होंने पूरी पोटेंशियल को रियलाइज किया. तब आज इस पोजीशन पे पहुंचे. तुम लोग सब के अंदर भी ये पोटेंशियल है, बस एक रियलाइजेशन. वानिक IAS आज तुम्हारे साथ है. हम लोग एक सपोर्ट सिस्टम एंड इन दिस पर्टिकुलर केस पहले तो मैं यहाँ पर आया था बिकॉज आई वाज माय ओन इंस्टीट्यूशन. 20 साल हो गए हमारे यहाँ से. हमारे यहाँ और एंड सो मेनी रैंकर्स आर रैंक नंबर 1 सो मेनी बट हमने पहले ये मैं यहाँ पर आया तो उसी तरह वही एडवांस बट जो कमिटमेंट है हमने कर पाया. फोकस करने कमिटमेंट बॉडी से कमिटमेंट देखा. ऐसा लगा कि विजन है. विजन है एक कि ऐसे बच्चे जो हमारे उड़ीसा के हैं जो दिल्ली नहीं जा सकते उनको यहाँ पर एक इस तरह का गाइडेंस प्रोवाइड करें कि वो यहाँ से दिल्ली मतलब यहाँ से एक अपने मुकाम को अपने सपने को साकार करें. राइट. And for this particular purpose, I decided to join this VANIKIAS. आज आपके सामने ऐसे टीम है, इतने सारे लोग की टीम है कि आपको अब मुझे नहीं लगता कि इसमें कोई दिल्ली के बीच का कोई डिफरेंसेस है. एक तो आपके सामने मैं कितनी क्वालिटी एंड गवर्नेंस इन पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के लिए बीएम पंडा से ज्योग्राफी के लिए आप जाने वाले उनका टू का सिनॉप्सिस साहित्य कोई आदमी लोग के पास ये पांडा सर का अभी आप देखें तो 41 रैंक 98 आपके साथ एक प्रोजेक्ट यहाँ पे दैट इज हमारे सरोज सामने से सोशल इशू एक संगीता महापात्रा उनके गाइडेंस में यहाँ पर आप देखिए आपके यहाँ नमन सर जो इकोनॉमिक्स के पूरे कंट्री के नाम जाने वाले एक ऐसा कॉम्बिनेशन है. इस वाणी का को ऐसा कॉम्बिनेशन किया है कि आज तक हमें नहीं लगता है कि अब हम आपके साथ our support system. We will provide you all inputs that is required for this examination. Only I need from you two things: commitment and consistency. This commitment देना, consistency देना. बस आज का दिन अनिमेश जी का दिन है. ये कुछ बताएंगे, अपने एक्सपीरियंस को शेयर करेंगे. बस इनके एक्सपीरियंस से आप लोग भी अपने आप को इम्पावर करेंगे. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Thank you, sir. So, we will not take much time right now. So, first let him explain the process. Then we have a session to interact. That any query in your mind. So, in the second part, we will deal with that. So, right now, let Animesh start the session. So, we are all looking at that. Thank you, Animesh. Let me start.
Thank you.
Please take this. I'll take it.
Yes. Thank you.
So,
Hello. Hello. So, good evening, everyone. So I'll keep this in both English and Odia. I'll juggle between both of these for ease of convenience for everybody. So, I'm Animesh Pradhan. I have scored All India rank. Yeah. So, I'm Animesh Pradhan. Able to UPSC Civil Service Examination, I have secured All India rank 2. I hope I'm audible, right? Not? This is better. But I can use this mic.
Better than okay.
Hello. 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 Yeah. So yes, I'm Animesh Pradhan. I've secured All India rank 2 in this year's UPSC Civil Service Examination, and this was my first attempt. And throughout the preparation, I was employed with Indian Oil Corporation. I was posted in Delhi in Indian Oil's refinery headquarters, and I've not taken any extended leaves for the sake of preparation for SIG. So first of all, thank you to the entire team of Vanik here for giving me the opportunity to come here and share my feelings and strategies with you. But first of all, there's a personal anger and a personal motivation behind coming always back to my home state. The place is mine. I mean, Modia po Odisha ro himu. Delhi, I was there because I was posted, and I'm hopeful that I'll get my home state as my cadre and come here and serve the people who had a contribution, direct contribution for my success as well. The personal anger and motivation is to understand why final list ODI representation बहुत ही कम. Although having my experiences with various states, various places I have been for education or professional basis, I found ODIs are the most hardworking people, are the one who are very focused. But the same thing does not get reflected, at least in UPSC Civil Services final list, and that at a personal level angers me, and I'm always here to change that narrative, to make people understand that we have it within us. So first of all, to address that fear or address that hesitation जो अपन को मन रे थाई पारे कि we might not dream for UPSC or probably settle for something less is not fair. Like everybody, like UPSC as an exam is as its own beauty कि exam टा समस्तंग पाई. Does not matter आपण college रे school रे किते studious थिले, आपण science background रू या फिर arts background रू, आपण engineering, medical या फिर general science, general commerce करिछन्ते. It's for everybody. आपण जो the entire 1,000 people who are making into the list, तांकर profile देखिबे, people are there who had scored 98% in boards. There are people who had scored 58-68% as well. Different background, people coming from humble background, people coming from elite background, people having their parents who are already IAS, IPS officer, people whose parents even do not know what is UPSC. So that is the beauty and the charm of this exam, that it gives an opportunity to rewrite your professional journey for everybody. So for you to having this doubt कि मैं college रे भला studious नथली, school रे मैं studious नथली, I'm not a 90% older, या फिर I do not come from IIT or AIMS or NITs or similar premier institute, and just because say reason जब अपन जदी भावुचंदे अपन UPSC करी परिनी, then that's the biggest myth. What is required in this exam is a lot of consistency and hard work, and probably a good guidance and mentorship that helps. but everybody has their own individual journey and everybody has their own struggles, and you will be the one who has to deal with it with a lot of consistency and hard work. So your past background helps. I would not say that it does not affect. I would say कि a lot of the way I was grown up, NIT Rourkela 2021 BTech Computer Science pass out. The experiences that I had at my college, I was employed then at IOC, so everything helped in my success. But that does not mean that you have to have these very premier institute, premier career choices that would only help you with UPSC. I am one of those 1,000 people who made it to the list this year, and everybody has a different story, and every story is valid, and Sabu story you can become a qualifier in UPSC examination. So that is first. So if you have doubts that I might not do this exam, then you have to rethink and understand that you can. You just require consistency, hard work, and a little bit of good guidance is what I will say. The second point that also sir mentioned about going to Delhi and everything, there might be an irony while I share this because I was in Delhi while I was preparing. But no, say locations, the famous locations, Karol Bagh, Old Rajendra Nagar, Mukherjee Nagar, this situation I was only in Delhi because that's where I was posted. Fortunately or unfortunately, that was the only reason why I was in Delhi. But in my personal opinion, going to Delhi and taking a coaching, staying there, lodging, fooding, everything is very impractical. That type of investment you would have to do is much more than what you'll get in return. So if you are getting good guidance either here at different locations in Bhubaneswar or through online, that is probably better than going to Delhi is what I personally believe. And it's really difficult. It does not matter you come from a well-to-do family, but the kind of expenditures one has to incur in Delhi is humongous. And but expenditure not in terms of money, but a lot of investment. You go from your comfort zones to an alienated place. The culture, fooding, cuisine, the kind of people you will stay, the kind of distraction you will have. Those are also kind of sacrifices that you will be making. So in comparison to that, I would have always preferred, if given a chance, I would have been able to study probably in Bhubaneswar as compared to Delhi any day. Because I would have felt that would have given me more comfort and probably a better headspace to prepare for this examination, and probably my struggle would have been less intense if I was in Delhi. So that's the major two things that I wanted to address, and I'll not elaborate on the nitty-gritties of my preparation strategy topic-wise. I mean, it's been more than 2.5 months, so you'll get a lot of these detailed strategy videos online of mine as well. But I'll give an overall perspective where, like, when did I study and everything, my timetable and the entire timeline of my preparation so that it could help you. So as I said, this was my first attempt. So our exam prelims was in May 2023 and had started full-fledgedly from February 2022. And I had an integrated approach towards this exam for both mains and prelims from February 2022 to mid of January 2023. And after that, I switched to only prelims, where I studied till May. It was mostly prelims-oriented preparation. And this exam is more about mains and less about prelims, because mains is what you will get a rank, which will help you to get a rank, plus the interview, of course. And prelims is although qualifying, but personally it was the most difficult phase as compared to mains and interview for me. But you will have to be mains ready before you start your exclusive prelim preparation. If it's your first attempt at UPSC, then it is advisable that you devote at least 4 months before the actual prelims examination to prepare exclusively for prelims. But before that, give your time in an integrated manner so that you are mains ready. And if somebody is trying to start a preparation or is not being able to navigate, then how do you cope up? There are 2 things which are important, which will be like the absolute north pole for your preparation is your previous year questions and your syllabus. this is something that you have to keep yourself the most closest to. Your syllabus, every topic of your syllabus becomes necessary. You should have good content in terms of good quality and good quantity of content. From a mains perspective, you should have notes or materials ready for that, and just not having them is enough. You'll have to internalize that. माने बस notes रे बने की रखिबा चलिबनी आपनकु से जिनसटा आपनका फिंगर टिप्स रहइबा दरकार, and then only you'll be able to reproduce in the examination. And it's important also because why you have to like internalize everything, because exam is of 3 hours. You'll have to write 50 pages in a GS paper. There are 10 marker and there are 10-15 marker. 10 marker 2 pages and 15 marker 3 pages you have to fill. Every 10 marker you have to attempt in 7 minutes and every 15 marker in 11 minutes. If you miss any of these, you will miss out on attempting a question, and the competition is too tough that you cannot afford to miss a question. So, जब से exam hall रे भाबीबा को time न था कि you'll read a question and think, give 2 minutes and then write. No. Apart from essay paper, in none of the GS papers or optional you have a time to think. So your preparation has to be so thorough. You have to be so thorough with your own materials, with your own notes, with the content enrichment material that you have, that you'll be able to reproduce that in exam. So this exam, in my opinion, is although about learning, but is also more about preparing. At the end of the day, it's an exam. It's not a PhD course that you have to do. So you'll have to do these smart strategies to ensure that you're qualifying in this exam. The goal is not to gain knowledge out of every subject and be the master of all trades. The objective of this examination is to just clear it with a good rank so that you get your desired service and serve the country, become IAS, IPS, IRS, whatever is your desired service. So the first is you have to prepare, and the second is gain knowledge. Might be a very controversial opinion, but it's an exam at the end of the day and you have to clear it. It's not a way that you are gaining knowledge out of this exam. You've already gained a knowledge through your graduation, through your school life. So you'll have to understand the nuances of this examination, what the examination is demanding, and prepare accordingly. Preparation is first, learning is second, is what I'm re-emphasizing again and again. So during the month of February to December, as I was mentioning, I was doing an integrated approach. My preparation was focused on 3 important pillars during those times. One was for my optional. The second was I was reading the standard books that almost everyone does. The Lakshmikant for Quality, Spectrum for Modern History, so on and so forth. The basic standard books which everybody does, the NCERTs, everything. That was one slot. The second was optional, and the third was I was reading current affairs and I was making notes out of those current affairs which were from mains point of view. So in mains you'll be able to write either 2 pages or 3 pages, either 7 minutes or 11 minutes. So if you have a topic on a random topic, for example, NGOs/pressure groups, which is a part of your governance. So if you have a note of, let's say, 10 pages on that covering everything, you'll not be able to reproduce that in examination, because an examination will be able to write only 3 pages max in 11 minutes. So your notes have to be also customized in a manner that it's an answer format, so that one, you are being able to revise that more properly, and B, you are being able to reproduce that in examination. If you keep on having this bulky notes for everything, then you'll be just gaining knowledge, but you'll not prepare yourself for the examination. So make your notes, make your revision in a way which is more adapted to the demands of the examination. For every of these topics, I had my 1-pager, 2-pager notes. These topics are basically the topics of the syllabus. So if there's a topic about election or let's say parliament. So when we're talking about parliament, there are a lot of topics around it. There's parliament sovereignty. There you have anti-defection, role of speaker, the contentious issues of governor, things like that. So every theme associated one of these particular topics of syllabus, it is essential to have these 1-pager and 2-pager notes ready. And if you are done with this for all the GS papers, for all the topics and all the themes associated with all these topics before you start your mains exclusive prelims preparation, then you are sorted for mains. And you just require multiple revisions and answer writing and tests so that you will be able to cross the line and come to this side of the table. So this is what my like 3 slots would look like. So one was catering to the prelims part, the standard books, one was for my optional, and one was a mains oriented focus where I was covering test series and current affairs as well. I made my notes from current affairs from mains perspective, did value addition again and again, and used to write tests every Sunday. I used to write half-length tests. In UPSC you have 250 marker test for 3 hours. I used to write 125 marks test for 1.5 hours. I have given such tests for 50 weeks, 48 weeks at least, from February to December, and I had done extensive answer writing for that. So does not matter how well you are aware about a subject, you have to present in the paper. The examination will not see your mind, it will see your paper, right? So you have to present your paper in a way so that the examiner's life becomes easy. The bottom line to understand कि अपन को कोउतरे बेसी मार्क मिल पारे जेतला अपन easy बने देबे examiner को खाता check करिबा. The examiner checks many copies in one day. When you present him in a way in which he wants your answer to be, then the probability of getting more marks is better. So presentation, how are you presenting the answer? You are serving the demand of the question is essential, and that is why a lot of answer writing, giving a lot of tests is important. An additional point to that is a lot of people have a fear when it's about answer writing or giving tests. But I think we have made this bubble for us to कि answer writing बहुत difficult या test दबा बहुत difficult, but why? Like अपन जो practice करिबे answer if जो test देबे, that would not determine अपन को वो exam रे pass भी या fail हेबे. There's not a graduation exam कि अपन इतने pressure और सहित you are giving writing an answer. It's answer writing practice. You are practicing. Your first answer, second answer, 10 answers you'll write will be very bad, but you'll improve. But the game is to be consistent and keep on writing those answers, inculcating the feedbacks that you get and improve upon that, so that at the end when you'll be writing your 40th test, you'll be the pro at your game. And at the end of the day, it's a competitive examination. Half of the people just do not start writing answer, and if you keep on being consistent for 2 months of answer writing, you are ahead than 90% of the crowd already. The competition of UPSC is not with 10 lakh people who appear. It's a competition with actually 1 lakh people who are serious about it. You just have to be serious and come in that 1 lakh people, then you become ahead of the 90% of the crowd already. So consistency is the key. Does not matter how bad you write, how bad you are scoring in your tests, just keep on doing that, keep on doing better and analyze your tests, that why are you failing at a particular subject. Either you do not have conceptual clarity, either you do not have enough revisions, or you have made notes but you were not able to think that during the exam condition. So all these things become necessary to self-introspect and improve upon the test. But giving test, writing answers is a non-negotiable thing for this examination, and this would be my honest request that especially be it the Odisha State Services or the Union Public Service Commission's Civil Service Examination, you'll have to write answers. There's no substitute to it. And I'll touch upon my optional. I'll keep it brief so that we can have a more time for the interactive discussion and not a one-way discussion here. For optional, if somebody, like, just a question, how many of you are planning to give UPSC in 2025 or 2026? Could you raise your hand? And out of the people who had raised your hand, कितने जन optional decide कर सालेंगे? A lot of you, yes. That's a good sign. But if somebody is having an issue to determine कि को optional नंबर अच्छी, there are a couple of things that you have to keep in mind. First is foremost is your interest. You'll write 2 papers for optional, 250 marks, 500, and you have to score the, like, you have to involve yourself the most with the optional paper. So that is first, that your interest should be extremely high for that subject. And the second is to understand the availability of resources. The resources in terms of classes, lectures, in terms of the materials, test series, about everything about that. The third could a bit about ki if you have to see a bit of trend, because at the end of the day it's an exam. So to see ki thoda last year ke kichi trend dekhi ki because every optional is scoring, but you have to also analyze ki recent trends kona achieves. And but interest, then the availability of few resources, and then the third past trends become the compass to decide what optional you will take. And optional, again, I think you would require the most amount of time for preparation, and it would reward you essentially as well. And everybody has this conception that optional you can complete in 3 months or 4 months crash course, which I personally believe is not a right way to do optionals. At least optional is something that you should always be involved with. So I was involved with sociology, which was my optional from February starting to December, until I had stopped preparing for mains and started prelims. So initially it took 6-7 months to complete preparation, make notes and everything. After that I started writing answers. So ago, let's say 2 घंटा 3 घंटा तक पढ़ते sociology को, तापरे trimmed down to 1 hour per day. But I was involved with sociology for a long part of it, ताकि it gets internalized within you. So for optional, do not just keep 3 months studying and then side they will know. You'll have to make one of your best partners during your preparation, at least for optional, because it's highly scoring and it can give you high return on the investment you make. So that's more or less that you have to actually fine-tune for this examination. We'll touch a bit about prelims and interview as well, because I think I talked a lot about mains. For prelims, apart from the standard sources, NCRTs, standard sources, or the class notes that you have here, you'll have to, in prelims, there are 2 important things. One is extensive revision, and second is test series. Revise as much as you can, give as many tests as you can for the last 4 months before prelims. But giving test series, like test series manu ke test de delo, then bond karike, then you are giving a test next day. The objective is कि अपन टेस्ट देले, then you see कि अपन करा कितने मार्क आसिला, कोठी भूल हैला, जोटी अपन कर भूल हैला, कहीं की भूल हैला, whether you were not able to remember, whether अपन पढ़ी न थिले, अपन पढ़ी थिले but बुझी न थिले. So I used to make these columns in Excel. कि if I have a mistakes done, I'll have a column that whether I did not know, I knew but could not remember, lack of revision, or any random fact. So, and then I used to analyze, then I used to understand कि मोर revision probably कम होची, code subject में मोर conceptual clarity कम होची. I had a tough time with geography, because I felt that I did not have a lot of conceptual clarity. So, सेटा को मैं सही angle ले revise करूँगी. I was fairly confident with polity, but that required a lot of revisions. So, a self introspection टा सेतेले आसीबो जेतेले आपण निजे निजर test scores, निजर performance को very micro level रे analyze करिवे, and that is essential for prelims. And for interview, if I'll have to shed some light, interview is a most fun process. It's the only time where you'll have to know about yourself more, about your school, college, where you're born, what like the profession you had joined, your graduation stream, where your parents belong, your hobbies, your interests. So all these things, and you get to know them in a more nuanced way. You give a lot of mocks. And interview is a fun and I would say very chill process where you will enjoy a lot. But the major, the weight that you have to give is for prelims and mains, mains especially, because that is either will make you or not make you through the list. And prelims, although it's qualifying, the exam paper is becoming more random, more unpredictable. So you'll have to be thorough with the content as well as the revision portion of it. But again, before ending, I'll tell that it's my hard-earned request that you'll have to dream big. Like, you cannot settle for anything less. And especially if you are born and brought up in Odisha, you have all rights, you have every right to dream bigger because you have in it. Our culture has in it, you can dream bigger and achieve it. So it will be unfair if you just do not dream as high as possible. Unless you dream bigger, you'll not be able to achieve bigger. And to be like a sun, you have to burn like a sun as well. So if you're dreaming big, you'll have to do hard work, and consistency and dedication has to be also more profound and pronounced. So A, dream big, B, do a lot of hard work, and C, keep your physical and mental health in check. Keep your support system, surround yourself with good people, surround yourself with the friends that help you to grow. And that's it, is probably is in my understanding is a sweet recipe for success in civil services examination. Thank you everyone. Yes.
Anyone having any query in your mind, will feel free to ask.
Evening, sir.
Good evening.
My name is Eva Richard. I'm 14 years old. I'm currently studying in class 9. So my first got with IAS officer this time. My only question for you right now is that besides the academic, what else do you right now in UPSC, tracking UPSC? So that's it. That's my question.
Hello, first of all. I mean, I had also a similar dream right from school time to become an IAS officer. But I would advise everything you do and everything you pick up now, be it in school and then later in 11th, 12th and in college, do not pick it up from the attitude that okay, this will help you for UPSC. This is a time where you have to have a more open mind, a mind which is open to everything. And then you'll be able to understand what your calling lies in. For somebody who's studying in 9th or 10th, I'd just tell that be honest with whatever you're doing and not take a lot of pressure first. And second, when you move on to your graduation, you can develop an inclination towards the general happenings around you. Like everything, like in 9th and 10th also you're reading about elections, right? About parliamentary form of democracy. We had an election right now. Understand that why do in Odisha people had to vote twice and not, let's say, people of MP. Like, there's a difference between Legislative Assembly and a Lok Sabha. So try to relate things which are happening around you with the knowledge of the books that you're getting. But apart from academics, pick everything that makes you happy. The underlining of graduation or before that has to be that you have to have a fulfilling college life, and do not stress yourself with these goals. These can wait, and I'm sure you'll get to success.
Everything we are learning from the book and coachings are all static, but the questions we get in main especially are almost interlinked from all subjects. So how do we get that? Is there any resource or we have to develop all of that?
So, see, whatever is asked in question, there's always a context to that why that was asked in that year. Most of the times, you can have very static question, but there are a lot of these current affair questions that you see, those you read in static as well. For example, there would be a question on a lot of party members, like after being elected, are changing their parties, which is defection and everything. And what are the rules and regulations around that, and what are your suggestions? How can India improve on anti-defection law? So we have our like under 10th schedule, the anti-defection bill and everything, which is a static part as well. But this happens in a current context. That's why you get a question on that. So that's how you interlink. Like you would have studied that in a static portion. You just have to get a question because there was a context and current happening with that. So you might get a question on how does AI help in agriculture and energy, which probably was a question in 2023 as well. So AI as a part of science and tech you read. You'll have just an application to understand how this can help in economy and agriculture. So do not like keep your mind compartmentalized ki this is static and this is current. Like UPSC does not give two different syllabus for you. Whatever the syllabus it has, these are practical things happening for us, but there is a substance to it. माने कहबार लक्ष्य है कि आपण साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी रे एआई विषय रे पढिथिबे बट जस्ट डू नॉट रीड फ्रॉम अ थियोरेटिकल पर्सपेक्टिव तार एप्लीकेशंस भी आपण पढंतु एंड फॉर दैट यू हैव टू गो थ्रू PYQs प्रीवियस ईयर क्वेश्चंस एंड सी कि को हिसाब रे सेमति आछि एंड if you are appearing full time I would say ki be thorough with newspapers or any current affairs magazine since I was working full time mo pakhre time ho nathla to read newspapers at least interview purbaru ho nathla time so I relied on coachings current affairs magazine but be thorough with newspaper what is happening or take the compilations that you can get for current affairs and integrate with the static knowledge that you are studying.
I'm something that the question is that you are belong to engineering background but computer science humanity after so how can you prepare great at the time get IAS generally I belong to engineering but how is possible for a because I am officer at it because they know that the engineering people something different and so they are really apart each other so my question is how can you
To prepare for GATE
last time also preparing for GATE and so just pass the exam so this may not go become easy.
So I mean you have that spirit within you if you're qualifying GATE. First of all that kudos to that. The second is that ki I understand ki what a shift achi there's a shift from like a tech background engineering background to humanities background but once you go through that like answer writing is basically number one like apna answer likhiba in engineering it's very logical stepwise manner you just write equations and get an answer but when you write because apna engineering 4 years mein padichanti would have read social studies probably from class 4 to 10th so that is more number of years than you have read engineering right so it is very unfair for you to say ki mo engineering background to say it mother difficulties how a humanities fine so if like I understand कि अपन present mind of set सेमिति अच्छी बोले अपन लागुची but it's a mere mental blockage when you start giving yourself more time अपन भाबंतु कि सही NCERTs गोटे 11 plus 2 रा पिला पढुचे जे humanities नहीं थिबो and we are doing that after graduation why is it difficult for us it's just a mental blockage तो अपन को निजो का अपन के अधिका टाइम देबे ता सी सब्जेक्ट सहित you will understand कि अपन भी अपन माइंड को सेमति वायर कर परिबे and you'll have to do a bit of answer writing so that आपण लिखिबा full sentences रे लिखिबा बेसी acquainted हे परिबे rather than what we did in engineering which was only giving equations and solving.
That's you also when you select the paper for the view and if work under IOCL at the time how can you manage the time and preparing for this subject those are not interested in your engineering background so what things are for your continue the line.
So none of my engineering paper really helped in UPSC. Engineering definitely helped, NIT Rourkela definitely helped, but not the subjects because computer science was not one of the papers in optional list. That's why I took sociology out of interest. How I managed is I had to do it. There was no other way. I stopped complaining कि मो पाखे full time preparation करी पारनी job सहित करे को पड़िबो. I had personal medical emergencies at home as well. So A, you have to stop complaining and B, if you're signing up for it, like if you're preparing for UPSC, I'm assuming you nijo ichha re koruchanti and apana nijo ichha re jodi koruchanti then you have to do this like apan ki badhya karnanti apan eta hi karantu else it's not like you're in class 10th or 11th or apan graduation start koruchanti it's a professional decision you are taking out of your own wish so jette bhi costa asile this is something that you had chosen and you'll have to understand that कि अपन काहे की एटा करूछन and if that motivation is extremely strong does not matter अपन का time था not how whatever problems you have you will be able to settle through management you'll have to make a planning I used to have a weekly planning daily planning 6-month planning थिला कि मैं या करबी 8 test देबी revision एमती करबी so if you're not planning well then that might be difficult so if you have less time then try to optimize that as much as possible. So for static subject is what I used to do is कि एक तो गोटे there is a process called active recalling. जेତେला आपण गोटे subject पढुचंती, let's say कि आपण 1.5 घंटा पढले से subject को, then before closing that book or closing that class notes or whatever, you just see through the index page कि आपण कौन पढ़ले. Just close your eyes and recall for 10 minutes or 5 minutes and just traverse through आपण कौन topics आपण पढ़ले and कौन important things आपण you came across. So that is something which helps. It looks कि it's very trivial, but it attacks to your psyche and it helps. That is first. Second, what I used to do is कि I used to study from Monday to Saturday, and Sunday I used to only revise what I studied on Monday to Saturday. Nothing else. And revision is very boring. So to make it more structured, I had a dedicated day कि Sunday दिन मैं खाली revise करिबी, किसी नुआ पढ़िबी. So that is something that you can do. And the third way is कि to track your revision. अपन आज ही पढ़ले ई chapter, you track it कि अपन को केबे next year revision करियर अछि. Then mark it कि अपन revise actually कले or not. The second revision अपन केबे करिवे. So this exam is so vast कि अपन you lose track if you do not actually start noting down कि अपन केबे कौन करियर अछि अपन जा करिबार थिला सेटा कले ना नहीं. So these are the three things that will help you in your revision of a static. And test series is basically how you revise, is go through the model answers, everything, whereas then give more importance to the ones जो आपण भूल करी चंदी. If you have gotten a new data or new information out of that, then keep that in a note, make a note of that and keep revising that. And जो आपण भूल करी चंदी because of lack of conceptual clarity, then revisit your class notes or standard resources and learn them again.
Started very bulky notes, and it gets difficult to get down to crisper notes, which is essentially important to like have a 1 or 2 page notes, and also like observe the current value addition to it, be like current affairs, etc. Makes your notes very messy in the end. So like, how do you structure your notes in a manner and make the value addition seem like crystal clear, and also the notes get crisper and towards the end?
So you do a lot of iterations of making notes. You do not make those one-pager notes, very refined and structured notes at one go. So you go through a content, revise at once, and when you have internalized everything within you, then you make notes. So you do not essentially make notes and reproducing verbatim the entire material. Then if I'm making a note out of Lakshmikant and the first reading, then probably I'll make a second Lakshmikant. I'll just copy paste it. So, or let's say you're reading a class note, so you have to read it, internalize it, revise it once, and then make just the important words or the concepts or the different areas and dimensions, or make notes of those things which you think you will forget or which requires a lot of internalization and you are sure that you'll require a last minute revision for that. Those come to your notes. And to do a value addition and all, I used to make notes in loose sheets. So add any things that is relevant to after that as well. But what is a more smarter way to make a note is making digital notes. So if you are comfortable with that, I would advise to make digital notes through either OneNote or Evernote or Notion. A lot of these apps have come up which are much better and smoother to arrange your notes. So digital notes also is something that you can explore. Correct. So I had started my preparation from February 2022 full-fledgedly. But a lot of context would help is because how my childhood and everything would have shaped. Like graduation, I did not prepare from my graduation time. But whatever I did in my graduation would have helped me in hindsight, because I as a person was somebody who was a better read, was well read. I used to debate a lot. I used to do a lot of student journalism. So I was aware with a lot of current affairs, with the humanities subjects. I had a genuine interest in it. My parents come from academia, so from humanities background. So that helped for sure, and that accumulation of my experiences would have added up to. But my full-fledged preparation was for 1.5 years, and not during graduation, not at all. I did not take up student journalism or debated ki that would help me in UPSC. I did that because of out of sheer love. So I would say it is possible, but it takes a lot from you. I will not say it was an easy process for me. It was extremely difficult, but it's worth it. Like, the kind of success you will get out of all those hard work and consistent effort is terrific and worth it. But it is possible. You'll have to believe that it is possible.
How many times you were giving history and studies?
So on a good weekdays, I used to get 5 hours or 6 hours max to read, but mostly below that, not more than that, because I had a 8-hour, 9-hour job to do. But on weekends, I used to study for 8 to 10 hours.
Sir, another question is about optional. As I belong to science background, I will prefer a science subject, but question is that it will help me in main writing, or I will choose any arts subject that it will help me better.
So, if you had a graduation subject and you were extremely good at it, or you had a lot of interest in it, then only take a science subject, I would say. Otherwise, you can explore a science-oriented art subject, something like anthropology or something, because there's no overlap, which I had felt, because sociology had helped me in GS1 society paper, in GS2 social justice and governance, in GS4 in essay, it helped. So there is a lot of overlap between sociology and GS paper, which I don't see in science paper. But if you are thorough with your science subject, then that would help you to give more time towards other GS subjects, because you are already thorough as a part of your graduation subject. So that you have to take a calculated decision, but I don't think your science option will help you in GS papers.
नमस्कार जय जगन्नाथ प्रथम तो आपन बहुत बहुत शुभेच्छा मोर क्वेश्चन हो सर वर्तमान प्रीलिम्स रो द्वितीय पेपर रे धीरे धीरे मन सेकंड पेपर रे धीरे धीरे टॉप होई सी साइड पेपरटा तो ता पई कोन स्पेशल स्ट्रेटजी रहबो सी साइड केमिति हम टिके बूस्ट अप कर परिबो
सो फर्स्ट तो इग्नोर करिया बंद कर दरकार सी साइड एते लाइटली इवन आई हैड टेकन लाइटली ए भाभी की मु एंड मु previous question solve karthila and I was getting good score, but 2023 paper was very difficult, I would admit, and especially even though I come from engineering background, I could hardly do maths. I relied mostly on comprehension and reasoning. So since more kichi bhala preparation kari pani C side, I would not be able to say ki core resources, but I'd say ki if you're enrolled here at Vanik or anywhere, then take up their structured course for CSAT is what I will say. If you're not being able to take a course, then look out for any structured free resources where you learn everything. जैसे कि GS रे आपण दोचंती ध्यान सेठी CSAT पे जोंतु practice more questions and practice a lot of PYQs and test series. I would think for CSAT is कि we keep a mental blockage कि जदि मो engineering background या science background रच ताले मो खाली maths करबी English देखिबी नहीं. But that's a myth. You'll have to do everything. Sabu portion of kichna kichi easy question thibo. You'll have to get only 67 marks. So, आपण जदि भाबुचंदी मु खाली मैथ्स रीजनिंग रे कर देबी या फिर खाली कॉम्प्रिहेंशन रीजनिंग कर दे मैथ्स पूरा छाड़ी देबी. Do not do that. You have to give importance to everything. Because 2023 paper रे maths was difficult, comprehension was easier. The people who were stuck with maths could not clear. तो आपण को सबु सब्जेक्ट रे इक्वल इंपोर्टेंस देबा पड़े while you are attempting the paper.
Sir, I have 2 questions for you. My first question is about answer writing. Sir, when will we starting and we will start answer writing? Should it be after we complete a topic, syllabus, or GS paper or anything? And how should we be doing that answer writing?
So I'll say ki what I did is that since I was reading the current affairs magazine and I had a test to appear based on the topics that was covered in that current affairs magazine only. So it was never an issue ki I was started writing answers in week 1, but it was not like other topics are not covered. mu padhini pura syllabus mu kemti likhi because jo topics guda se current affairs magazine thila sei upare mate likhibar thila answer, and first part answer mu kharab likhli, then I improved. So either you can do that ki apna jo topics paduchanti you can write answer on that. Let's say you have now completed fundamental rights, fundamental duties and amendments and emergency. So ये चारिटा portion to see जहाँ जहाँ PYQs आसिची, then write it. I would say कि do not wait the पूरा सला पर ये syllabus because केबे syllabus sorry बनी. Even you would have completed writing mains, then also you realize you would have left something. So after one topic is done, write 3-4 questions. At least in a week, write 5 questions is what I would say. जहाँ अपन पढ़िले से 5-6 दिन रहे, Monday to Saturday. Sunday दिन sit and जो topic रा अपन पढ़ी थी, look at the previous year questions from mains and write answers from as soon as you complete that topic, I would say.
Thank you, sir. My second question is, sir, since you said ki syllabus never complete and everything under the sun is syllabus for UPSC. Sir, while giving this examination in the mains, we are about to write more than 150 questions. So definitely I believe that there will be some question or at least one question that we'll find difficult to write. So how do we deal with that question? I mean, we don't know from where it has come or what we have to write, but leaving that question would be like attempting a suicide. So what do we do?
I mean, not attempting a suicide for sure, but I understand what you are meaning to say. But it's not one. In GS paper, there will be at least 3-4 questions in which you feel that you do not have content. And especially for topics of GS1 and GS3, a lot of times you'll find that I do not know anything about it. But you'll have to write answer, like, because in topics, let's say GS1, there is a question on about the direction of winds in Bihar and why it is called Purvaya and how does it impact Bihari culture. I have no idea about that. But what do I have? This is a question about Indian monsoon. So I'll write how the Bay of Bengal branch of Indian monsoon traverses, why does it change its directions, what is the role of ITCZ, intertropical convergence zones are there, role of like how it travels, one changes direction from West Bengal to Bihar and one goes to Myanmar, and that is why probably it calls Purvaya. And I'll write about the Bihari culture in which I know, the culture of Bihar, how it helps. It could help either in their food, cuisine, the folk tales, the kind of festivals they prepare. So these generic things you'll have to write. It's a general studies paper. So you'll have a general overview you can give even though you do not have fine details. So try to understand what is the core concept that it is asking if you do not know the finer details, and keep on writing content. Draw some diagrams, draw some flowcharts if you do not have a lot of content. But do not leave any question, for neither for GS nor for option.
Good evening, sir. My question is to you. Every beginner has a questioning if that, as you said earlier, jete padle syllabus ta saribo. So I can be assured hoga je good time par prepare enough much.
By giving tests. So if you see ki apan test douchandi, apan ka test or there is a improvement in the graph, then you will see you are preparing enough. And like there are standard scores that you're getting. If in the prelims test series, if you're getting hundreds or so, that's a good score. A good test series, if you're giving 100, that is a good thing that you apan prepare karichanti. And the thing is कि जो जिनसोटा आपण का हाथ रे अछि द स्टैटिक पोर्शन आपण क्लास नोट्स जो क्वेश्चन आसुची स्टैंडर्ड रिसोर्सेस जो क्वेश्चन आसुची यदि सेइतरे आपण भूल करू नाहंती देन यू आर प्रिपेयर्ड otherwise the kichi भी random question as paribo. In prelims, out of 100 questions, a serious aspirant knows not more than 35 questions with confidence. After that, we attempt more around 85, 90 or 95 questions, but from 35 to 85 is all a lot of educated guesses, a lot of our common sense, a lot of tips, tricks and everything. So जदि आपन को लागुच कि जो दिन से आपन को पढ़ा हेतिलन सेटा आपन ठीक करूछन पेपर रे, then your preparation is at a good pace and you're doing the right thing, and give a lot of tests, get it evaluated, then you'll know कि आपन को preparation ठीक चल रही है.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, first of all, congratulations and kudos on your success. Sir, I am Vanik and I have 2 questions and 1 request. So, for first question, sir, actually I am from 4th year of engineering, computer science, and I have already left 4th school preparing for UPSC. So, I would like to ask that it is good to leave jobs for preparation. And on second, as you said that you used to prepare 6 hours of give time, 6 hours to study for UPSC, and on weekends you used to study for 10 hours. So, sir, it is generally not possible for anyone that to study continuously for this time hours. So, what you used to do in mid hours, that is when you get bored and when you get dilemma that I would like to take some rest and before start. So, what time we invest in that time?
So to answer your first question, obviously I will have an answer that I had a conscious decision that I wanted to do this with job, which was a conscious decision based on the kind of family background I come from. So in my opinion, doing it with a job is a better decision than doing it a full time, because the kind of mental satisfaction you get when every month salary gets credited to your account, nothing beats to that feeling, for sure. The second is that you'll always, because this exam is more about failures than about success, so I always knew that if I do not make it in the first attempt, I'll have something to hold on to. So that there's a plan B that you can fall on to is what used to give me comfort and mental peace. So that is why I preferred doing this alongside a job. But if you want to do full time, most of the people do it full time. So do have a planning ki how many years we are willing to give without a job. If it's for 1 year, 2 year or 3 year max, who will sponsor you? Ask your parents or ask your support system that whether they will be sponsor you throughout this time, and make a plan accordingly. And in general, in my opinion, this preparation, this exam requires from scratch also 1.5 years of preparation. So once you are done with that, agar nahi hua aapka, like if you're not being able to make through in your first attempt, I hope you do, but if in case, then you can take up a job and then do it revision, because your initial preparation, the intensive preparation, making notes, revision is done for 1.5 years. And let's say 1 year you appeared for the examination, so 2.5 years is done. After that you should pick up a job, because then 5 hours, 6 hours it's easy to do. Do not just keep on saying I'll give 5 attempts, so 6 years without a job, because you require 2.5 years for all preparation along with the exam duration. After that, take up a job is something that I will tell everybody, because you should not waste your primes. Or you're in 20s, early 20s, this is something that you should be productive as well. But this examination is so cruel that it demands time, so it is okay if you want to do full time, but do not give more than 2 or 3 years without job, and after that you can take up a job and prepare alongside. To answer the second question, this exam is again a very, very non-interesting exam. It's not a fun exam. So every alternate time, every alternate duration, I needed breaks, and breaks are healthy. So I used to watch a lot of TV series, a lot of films. I used to video call my friends and go out. So I used to refresh mind. At the end of the day, humans, not robots. So you have to keep your productivity maximum. Number of hours do not really count.
Sir, asking my request, I would like to ask for a photo with you after the session, please. Good evening, sir. UPSC and next year I'm going to UPSC, and some
Why not UPSC this year?
So I think I'm not that much of prepared to give UPSC this year. For that reason, I'm giving UPSC.
Okay. What is the question?
Sir, my question is that everyone is saying that after completing NCERT, we have to move on to standard book. My second question is that, sir, like some of my friends, like who are preparing UPSC for around 12 years, they suggest me that 8 years current affairs, so 8 months current affairs is enough. You don't have to go through 12. And my third question is that, like sir, for sociology, like only I have to go to my course or like study reference to each period. And my fourth question is
Wait, let's discuss one by one. I've already forgotten the first question. I'll answer the recent one, the sociology one first. Sociology depends. Like if you are like I had referred a past year's toppers notes, Neha Bhosle, All India Rank 15, previous year topper, her notes extensively. So that was my base notes. But I complemented that with one of the books called Essential Sociology by Nitin Sangwan. So yes, I refer these books, but mostly from notes. But there are certain topics like in sociology, the thinkers, especially Parsons and Mutton and everybody, where you require a lot of conceptual understanding. So for that, going in depth and reading some standard resources become necessary. Nobody is telling you that you have to read everything from one book. And when a lot of toppers say that keep your sources limited and do multiple revisions, we do not mean ki everything you have to read from one book only. What we mean is ki, for example, you are reading Parsons, read it from one source only. But you can pick up, let's say, marriage as a topic from other source as well. You can pick up polity in sociology, the politics and society from another source as well. But do not read एक topic के लिए from multiple sources is what I'm saying. So you can rely on notes, but in which you do not have a lot of conceptual clarity, you can refer to standard books. To your previous question of current affairs, how much duration? It's a thumb rule to prepare for at least 12 months. There are people who tell that they prepare for 24 months as well, which I find it extremely difficult to. I had prepared for 10 to 12 months. That's a good enough range. 10 to 12 months is a good enough range to prepare for current affairs. The first question I forgot.
So actually, I was saying that. Actually, I was saying that like everyone is saying that fast and complete
Yes. Okay. So varies person to person, and like people say that because you're straight out of graduation, you have lost like the touch on the humanities subject. So it becomes essential to start a preparation, your basic level of understanding from NCERTs. But for some subject, NCERTs are a must. Like for geography, nowadays political science also a lot of questions are coming from 11th and 12th NCERTs. For history, these are non-negotiable. You have to do history as like the NCERTs at your base material. But for a lot of other subjects, you can read 11th and 12th NCERTs. If you are finding difficult to understand that, then you can read, let's say, 9th and 10th, and then the other, if you find it difficult, then from 6th, let's say. Because I was reading, let's say, polity, Indian polity from Lakshmikant. I found it key everything what was covered in 9th and 10th was already covered in that book. So if I was reading, I read 11th NCERT R.S. Sharma for ancient history. And that covered what was covered in 8th, 9th, 10th as well. So I did not go back to those. But if you want to just get started, warm up yourself with the preparation, then start with NCERTs. But for these subjects like history, geography and political science, you will have to do NCERTs thoroughly.
And so my fourth question is, like for current affairs, we have to follow monthly or daily basis?
If you're doing it daily, then don't do it monthly. Like if you're reading a daily one page ka, then you do not have to read a monthly compilation. If you are reading monthly compilation, then you do not have to do daily. Like either one of those. But if you have time, you are a full-time aspirant, read the newspapers, at least the editorials.
So like, but if I'm reading like monthly current affairs,
So then in that way, everything under the sun becomes current affairs, right? You'll have to limit yourself, and there's a fixed amount of mental space that you can give for current affairs. So if you go back and drill down, like 1,000 of things forum would have missed and would get in XYZ institute also, right? So if you then just start compiling the current affairs of everything and go on reading everything and make a superset of it, then you are killing your time. So stick to one and read it as much as time possible. The idea is that whatever you are reading, you are thorough with it. So do not go through this कि ये वाला miss हो गया वो पढ़ना था. No. Any good source that you're picking up, revise it for it.
Good evening, sir. My name is Loka. I have two questions. Before that, I want to ask you.
So that's the third question, right? There are three questions.
तो मोर प्रथम क्वेश्चन होउछि कि जेतबेला हम पढापढी करथुवा बेले बेले माने माइंड को तो डिफरेंट टाइप्स ऑफ नेगेटिव थॉट्स माने एग्जाम टा में क्लियर कर परबे कि नाही बेले बेले एते माइंड को इफेक्ट होछि जाडा कि हमें कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल भी कमी जाउछि जा द्वारा डिप्रेशन एंड एंजाइटीज के तापरे बढ़िया पे मते औसे कि मोटिवेशन रहउनी तो एडी मोर क्वेश्चन होछि जे हमें से डिप्रेशन को केमते ओवरकम करिबो करके हम फुल 100% कॉन्फिडेंस सहित पढापढी करि परिबो.
So जेतबेले सेमिति भावना आछि कि कोन हबो एग्जाम रे कोन हबो सी टाइप ऑफ फीलिंग आछि, then you have to understand कि आपण को हाथ रे रिजल्ट तो नहीं, आपण को हाथ रे the only thing is कि preparation. So you have to control the controllables. जो दिन सडा आपण को हाथ रे कंट्रोल करी हबो ता पई टेंशन नियंतु rather than taking tension and anxiety for the things जोटा आपण को हाथ रे कि नहीं. So whenever I used to have this mind कि मु पढुची whether I will be able to clear this or not, whether मु जहाँ पढुची आसीबो ना नहीं, so I just can't help it, like the result is not my hands. So that was my goal, to overcome through this anxiety and fear. And secondly, give yourself breaks as well, like keep your support system intact in the process. And if it gets severe, if there's any parent also listening to this, I'd like encourage your people to visit counselors and therapists as well. If there's a severe case of mental health issues, there's nothing, no social taboo, or there's nothing shy to be. I have been on therapy since February 2022 when I had preparation to till now after the results have come out as well. So if anybody has issues with regard to any mental health, do not shy away from visiting a counselor or a therapist.
Thank you. Second question is, sir, 6th to 12th NCERT बढ़िया पे कहले 6th to 12th NCERT, then standard books and
no, I did not say 6 to 12 सब पढ़िया पे. I said कि you can start with 11th and 12th. If you are not understanding, then 9, 10. Then if you are facing issue, then 6.
So तापर जति जो standard books कहले तापर हमको क्लास में नोट्स भी डके थाउची. तापर क्लास में टोटल जो बुक्स मते थाउची पढ़िया पे में टोटल रिसोर्स ने पढ़िया पड़ी तापे कि स्पेसिफिक रोज की टॉपिक.
So again, gotte topic to the पढ़ुछनी. Suppose you are reading Indian monsoon, so either you read it from NCERT or read it from the coaching material or read it from the class notes. को गोटे जदि आपन लागिला क्लास नोट्स एटा भलो ए टॉपिक रे पढ़ा जायनी, then read the material. जदि आपन material qualitative रे नहीं, then read NCERT. गोटे टॉपिक पे one. जदि आपन बुझी आस्तनी, then you can supplement with another source. But सबु टॉपिक पे सबु पढ़िले it will take thrice amount of time as it is required. So सबु टॉपिक सबु जिनस रे पढ़िबार नहीं, गोटे बट सबु रिसोर्सेस को देखि कि टॉपिक वाइज जोटा बेसी आपन लागु जे क्वालिटेटिव कंटेंट सेटा फॉलो करो.
My last question is, जो न्यूज़पेपर जो पढु जबे द हिंदू न्यूज़पेपर मेनली सेटा माने को वे रे जाको पढिबा सेतिर नोट्स केमते प्रिपेयर करबो.
I'll not be the right person to tell it because I was not following newspaper because I did not have time. But that does not mean that you should not. Newspapers are the excellent source for building your opinions and having current affairs, like being thorough with current affairs. But read the editorials is what I will say. But I don't find it productive to make notes out of newspapers if you are following a monthly magazine. because monthly magazine already has compiles everything for you. So it's not necessary to make notes until unless you find something very extraordinary point from any newspaper. Then after that, I would not advise to make notes from newspaper because it becomes very messy. You cannot be structured. I would say you can read newspapers and follow a current affairs resource, a magazine per se, and revise the magazine more number of times.
Good evening, sir.
So एमिति topic no, I understood. The idea being कि एमिति overlap वाला topic बहुत कम, so you don't have to worry a lot कि you are reading historical underpinnings also and सेटा history पढ़ुଛନ୍ତି. Read it twice. That topic itself is very confusing. तो दीटा अगर पढ़ले maybe will be more thorough.
सर गोटे सब्जेक्ट पढ़ सर माने आवर सब्जेक्ट सर माने हिस्ट्री सर देन सर गोटे दिन
Now as reading history, the history, because as reading optional, current affairs and standard book, as reading history माने history पढ़ुतली. हाँ, माने for like 15-20 days history, तापर 15-20 days polity. मझिरे 15-20 days तो polity पढ़ुची सेतोल को history का I was revising each part, but major गोटे ही subject पढ़ुतली along with optional and current affairs. Daily 2.5 hours initially when I'm making my own notes and reading first time. Then after my initial notes are ready, 1 hour I was giving for it. Make your own notes for sociology. I mean, I can appreciate a bit of silence. I mean, I understand that we have gone overboard with the questions, but if you do not have an interest genuinely, then you feel free to walk out of the session. But to answer your question, that you can make your own notes by going through 2 different sources, the classroom notes, or you're getting any other resource. But you can follow your classroom notes. I'm assuming the classroom notes will be comprehensive already. So, जो answer rating, whatever the value addition you're getting, just do enrichment of the जो नुआ perspective, किसी छोटे नुआ scholar का कोटे perspective, नुआ thinker मिलला, then add on to that. But give one as your base and add on from another source as a value addition material.
marriage acts sir.
Yes. Yes.
सर एटा थिंकर्स पॉइंट रे दिन ऐड करियो करंट पार्ट सेटा सर केमती माने नोट रे ऐड करथले सर.
So I used to make a sort of Olga notes. If there's a AI or there's a same-sex marriage or triple talaq or AIR-2 marriage act, so I used to make like what topic and then 5-6 thinkers out of that. Used a lot of ChatGPT for that as well. So a sort of current affairs I used to make khali thinkers parikri Olga pore notes and did not integrate with anything. But use happen podi chanti. Like you can analyze marriage act from the point of view you would have read in marriage topics, right? A functional model, a Marxist point of view, a feminist point of view, a subaltern perspective, so neo-feminist perspective. So jahan apna padhi chanti that you can use, but you can have separate thinkers for this current affairs based topic as well.
So disaster management mein apna kimne kon preparation karte?
So read any compilation of current affairs, disaster management, and keep your introduction, conclusion, like make a table, landslide, earthquake, flood, so on and so forth. Tangor introduction utote data samosan thibo, conclusion there would be recommendation, and body re keep like what are the nuances of that, steps taken for that, challenges in that, and you'll be good to go. And kichita diagrams ki ko area re landslide hochi, ko area re earthquake zones hochi, give that diagrams.
Thank you, sir.
So I was enrolled with one of the institutes where I had taken their full year mentorship program, where I had referred to their current affairs magazine. That was my source for current affairs. As in other sources, as in I read the standard books as well, which were prelim specific, I found out them to be. For mains, I made my own topic-wise notes from the current affairs magazine I was referring to. In the month of November and December, like just before starting my prelims exclusive preparation, then I referred to a previous year yearly magazine and saw what topics I do not have notes for. Then I complemented that. And for topics like geography, art and culture and history, which are very static and that I did not get from the current affairs magazine, I referred to the modeled answers of the test series of last 2-3 years of few coachings which are freely available on internet and in the market. Just read their model answers and made notes out of these static parts from a mains point of view for geography, art and culture and history.
Hello sir, first of all congrats for your huge achievement. My question is related to consistency. So throughout the entire journey, how have you maintained your consistency, and if somehow you feel sick or any distractions that made you move out of the syllabus or something like that, how have you overcome from that, and how to maintain the consistency throughout the entire journey?
So the goal is to be consistent, but you will fail more than you would want you to be. But I had a lot of breaks as well. During my preparation, my mother was undergoing her cancer treatment. So I had n number of distractions and n number of times where I had to break my schedule. So, and a lot of other distractions as I had work, everything. So, but at the end of the day, you'll have to understand ki when I used to feel low and I used to not feel that I'm not consistent and I'm off track, you'll have to understand that first two things. One is ki you have signed up for this. Nobody is pressurizing you. Hence, you'll have to do this. And second, I had this opinion like कि आपण जदि भाबिचंदे मते करिवार अछि एटा, then this requires, let's say, a level of intensified preparation. If I'm doing something less, then I'll not clear this. But तास तो कौन होची ना, I'm not being able to enjoy my life as well. So जदि करिवार अछि, do it full-fledgedly, full force रा सहिता, or don't do it. Because if you are in between, neither you are giving justice to your preparation, nor you are being able to do other random happening good social life things that you can pursue. So if you have signed up for this, give your 120%. If you're not ready to give more than 120%, it's better to not try this at least for that year, because you're losing out on your friends, on your social life. This is also a time where you're building a lot of other things in your life. It's not just like revolt of 1857 and constitutional amendment are not the important things in your prime 20s. So if you're doing things and sacrificing everything else for this examination, rather do it the best possible way or not do it at all. So that used to inspire me ki if I'm doing it, then I have to do it in a way that I clear it in my first attempt. That was the goal, but every day did not look like the same. Every day it felt that I'm doing inadequate and I was to feel unmotivated on most of the days. But the goal is to keep going and not stop.
Thank you.
One, two questions will be asked.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir. Sir, my question is कि sir मझे माने preparation चली थी टाइम रे मझे लगे कि माने कोनोसी गोटे सिचुएशन आसिले छाड़ देबा इच्छा होय तो से टाइम रे कोन माने किछि टाइम पे ब्रेक नै कि पुणी रिस्टार्ट करिवो ना कंटिन्यू चलेबो.
So आपण देखो ना ब्रेक से सिचुएशन केते like that depth केते अछि. If you are being able, like it's a very medical emergency or things like that, then you might take a gap or something. But if you're just feeling like कि मुझे आज पढ़िया की इच्छा होनी, then give yourself 1 day gap without any guilt. अपना enjoy करन, second day enjoy करन तू, third day भी enjoy करन तू, but then fourth day pick yourself and read, because if you'll have a gap 7 days, then you'll have to start like you'll come 3 steps back. पुणे आपको compensate करे को पड़ेगा. So if the matter is not very serious, do not take more than 1-2 days gap is what I will say.
सर वो मझे लगे जो माने प्रिपरेशन 2-3 वर्ष हे गला परे भी सपोर्ट जति न हैला तो तापर माने कोन 2-3 वर्ष लॉस हे गला परे माने आगो कोन सेही लाइन रे किछि करि हबो ना सेही लाइन संपूर्ण छाडी दो.
अगेन डिपेंड्स कि आपण जो भाबुचन कि 2-3 वर्ष परे न हेले सेही लाइन रे किछि करबी अलग लाइन रे किछि करबी, दैट प्लानिंग इन माय ओपिनियन सेटा आपण स्टार्ट करिया पूर्वरु ही हबा कथा कि आई हैड अ प्लान बी जो मु स्टार्ट कली हैड इन माय माइंड कि माय यूएसएल रे चाकरी करूची, आई गिव 3 अटेम्प्ट्स मैक्स. जदि 3 अटेम्प्ट न होला देन व्हाट आई विल डू इज अ प्लानिंग दैट आई हैड डन बिफोर स्टार्टिंग प्रिपरेशन. तो आपण एबे जो भी स्टेज ऑफ प्रिपरेशन अछंतु आपण आपनकर फेलियर प्लानिंग शुड बी मोर इन डिटेल दैन योर सक्सेस प्लानिंग. सो आपण भाबन एबे भाबन कि आपण को करी तो हबो ईदर वेज रे, ईदर आउटसाइड ऑफ दिस इंडस्ट्री और आउटसाइड inside of this industry, but think कि आपन को उतरे better feel होगा, and that planning and decision एबे टू करंतु about the failure, because this any exam is more about failures than about success. I'll take one online question. UPSC syllabus is a vast. Please suggest how to cover and how we remember things. So divide and conquer. Like आपन there's one slot for current affairs and mains, one slot for optional, one slot for standard books / class notes or NCRTs or whatever. So divide and conquer. अपन plan बनांदो कि first 25 days I'll read polity, then I'll read geography, polity then I plan for those 25 days कि first 4 days I'll read fundamental rights and fundamental duties, तापर I'll read emergency amendments and everything, तापर I'll read parliament, executive and so on and so forth. So give a wider plan, and then for that wider plan have micro level plannings as well. So the logic is it's vast, but vast for everybody. So divide and then conquer. I think this would consistency just answer.
Hello sir, good evening. My question is that before the starting stage of your preparation, were you perplexed? Because I am too much baffled. What to study? How to start? Which subjects should I study? I feel like studying polity. After 5 years, I'm feeling like studying economy, because I'm from science background and I don't know nothing about polity, history and all. So I'm too much perplexed.
So you have to make your I went through binge watch a lot of topper talks. So I knew what they're doing, how they're doing, what resources they're following. So then I made my plan, what books I'll read. Then I had made a 1-year plan, 6 months plan, 3-year plan, 1 month mein how my day looked like, weekly plans I used to do, and I used to stick to that. There were most of the times you would not stick 100%, but the goal is to stick to a plan. So if you're planning this 20-25 days I'll read economy, read it, because at the end of the day you'll have to read economy. चाहे आप अभी पढ़ो या फिर बाद में पढ़ो, you'll have to read it. So you'll have to calm yourself down and make a plan and stick to it.
One more thing, that we are preparing ourselves. So when we get a call from our parents, how is your preparation going on, and your exam is coming very nearer, are you preparing well? So though we are preparing well, and when we are listening to this question from our parents, even though we have had a lot, we are so much confused that going into depression, whether can I beat the exam or not.
So if any parent is listening to this, you'll have to be very supportive towards your children. They're sacrificing a lot for this examination, and you will have to be the biggest strength of pillar, and I'm happy that my mother was. But in that case, try to make your parents understand that you are doing everything that you can. Beyond that, you do not have control over the things. Your preparation is going well. What is the outcome of it is not in your hand. Try to make them understand this. I think this is the last question we'll take.
Good evening, sir. Hello, sir. Good evening, sir. My question is, as we know that UPSC syllabus is fast, so does it take 1 year preparation to appear the exam, or do we need to prepare for 2 years at least? Can you suggest me, sir?
There's no fixed answer to it. But in my opinion, 1 to 1.5 years is enough. If you're preparing full time, then 1 year is also okay. There are a lot of examples. So it's doable.
Okay, another question would be, sir, while preparing, what sources do we need to follow for current affairs?
Either newspaper or any current affairs monthly magazine is a suitable thing to start with.
Thank you, sir.
Ask, I'll answer. You can read either Hindu or Indian Express, anything would do. तो आंसर राइटिंग बोली एमती किछि करनथिली मु जो करंट अफेयर्स में फॉलो करथिली ता करंट अफेयर्स रो जहाँ भी थिला कंटेंट ता ऊपर 125 मार्क्स रो टेस्ट होतला 1.5 घंटा पई एंड सेटा मु दोथिली एग्जामिनेशन प्रत्येक संडे सो दैट वाज माय आंसर राइटिंग प्रैक्टिस सो धीरे धीरे से डेवलप हम फर्स्ट अपन लिखिबे भल आंसर हबन मतलब अपन पढ़िबे आहुरी आपण सिलेबस आपण कवर करिवे रिवीजन बेसी करिवे आपण जो आंसर्स लिखिबे सेउडा के सेति रिफाइन हे जिवो आपण सब टॉपिक वाइज डेटा कोर्ट जजमेंट कमिटी रिकमेंडेशन कोर्ट्स एवरी सेउडा अलग अलग करी के सेपरेट निजे करि परिबे रादर लॉट ऑफ कंपाइलेशंस मार्केट रे यू कैन पिक दैट अप एज वेल बट सेटा को बारंबार रिवाइज करके निजे आंसर आपण पुट करे के चेष्टा करिए
More than 1 hour discussion is first is your dedication, the consistency, and one more very interesting thing what he has told is to divide you conquer. That means syllabus is very vast. So divide in small parts, then you can have command over it. And the most important thing that he told in this session is do practices. The more you practice, especially for the main, that you go near to the success. I think I am audible to the end. Fine. But the most important you people whom I am seeing over here is that you attend the class and some of you sit for the MCQ exams, but when you come to the main writing, so 95% remain absent. Because and see what he told that every day you have to write at least once in every week you have to write minimum 5, but that should be come to 5 daily. Because he is working and finding time, but you are not at all working. You are here 24 hours into 7. And you are not even, and in the examination you will find 7 minutes and 11 minutes for the 10 markers and 15 markers. Fine. But when it comes to writing over here, I am seeing for the last, you are hardly 2 to 3 years, 2 years, I think most of your students over here, some are freshers. But very few, hardly 5% are appearing for the subjective writing. The biggest lacuna realizing. If a person who has done it in 1 year telling you that I do writing along with my job, then up to you to think over and think over more on this. So thank you, Animesh, for sparing your very good time. And the information are very, our presentation is very, very informative. The entire 1.5 hours I was sitting and listening to the things. Not a single thing was vague. Everything was very means what it comes to the ground, but should be in your mind. And go and just think over what you listen today in these 1.5 hours. आज घर को जान दो आराम से बस की भावों तुझे 1.5 घंटा हमें कौन सुनी लो और सिद्धू हमें कौन जाने लो. It will be very, very useful and it may turn your own approach. Thank you all.
All the best, everybody. All the best.
Inviting Professor for the
आज केते जण भाबुछु कि माने आईएएस तो जणे होते ठीक है एइना इंटरव्यू के आज स्टडी को आज बात करो बाकी कल और पहला तो सेमती नहीं कंसिस्टेंसी बहुत डाउट तो यूपीएससी में एग्जाम जो मागे नहीं तो अगला जो भी पब्लिक सेक्टर अछि और एग्जाम करिया ପାଇଁ कि से मागे मिनिमम क्वालिफिकेशन 70% प्राइवेट मागे लेनी कि मार्क बट यूपीएससी इज द ओनली एग्जाम इट रिक्वायर ओनली पास इन ग्रेजुएशन को भी स्ट्रीम को भी माने टाइप जहां भी हम अच्छे हम कोर्सेस दिया है तो खाली पास होना दरकार फॉर टू बिकम ए कलेक्टर तो दैट इज द बेस्ट पार्ट काहे कि मैं से भाबुची कि माने जो कॉलेज रो मार्क देखि माने टैलेंट सिलेक्शन करा जाय तो समान ताकर एग्जाम करबे तेनु समस्त को भाई एटा अपॉर्चुनिटी अछि जो माने चाहे एटा करबो तो ए जो प्रिपरेशन भाई विभिन्न प्रकार होय अछि घर बसी के पढि परिबे कोचिंग सेंटर आसी परिबे सेल्फ स्टडी करि परिबे माने पर्सनल जति चिना बुझ अछन कि गाइडेंस माने नेई कि भी करि परिबे तो आमे भी गोटे माध्यम आमे थ्रू द कोचिंग सेंटर आमे ट्राई करछु कि आमे बेस्ट वे रे तमान को सपोर्ट करिया पाई कि बेसिकली डिफरेंस है देखो घरे बसी के तुम भी पढि परिबो बट तमे जोटा फर्स्ट टाइम पढिबो जो वे रे बुझिबो आ एग्जाम रे जहा रिक्वायरमेंट अछि ताको टीचर माने जो माने 10 वर्ष 15 वर्ष पढि करछि नो बेटर वे रे साने जानि करछि एटा थिंक कराछि तो आमे जस्ट कोन करछु हमर टाइम दिबो सका के कम करे ट्राई करछु आ जोटा पढाई में ताको जेन आमे के आंसर लिखु आंसर तो निजे निजे को इवैल्यूएट करि पारि कि माने वेदर आई एम डूइंग द राइट थिंग और नॉट तो सेति में कि बाकी आउट होय कि माने पाठपढ़ा फाइनेंशियल वैल्यू न हो तो जो माने कर कि कोन टाइप ऑफ प्रॉब्लम होती है माने थोड़े କଥା हो सेति में हमें स्कॉलरशिप टेस्ट में जो माने भलो 1 नंबर 2 नंबर 3 नंबर भलो रैंक रखुछन ताका हमें डिस्काउंट करि कि भी पढिया ପାଇଁ कि अपॉर्चुनिटी दो टाइम टू टाइम हमें मन सबले सपोर्ट करछु सबटु बेस्ट पार्ट हला जे सर कहले हमें एक वर्ष आगु एटा नथिला पूरा मेंटरशिप माने पाठ पढाटा घरे गला पर बहुत जन डाउट कि घरे पढि पर ये तो आज काली डिवाइस आसीगला मोबाइल माने इच्छा थाउ न थाउ ताको खोली के बसला माने घंटा पर 2 घंटा 3 घंटा पढे तो नाही पढेनी तो सेति भाई कि आमे एठी 24 आवर लाइब्रेरी आपन तो ओपन हे कि अछि तो जो माने पढिबा को चाहौ छ तो सबले कहि कि सकाळ 7 बेले भोर तक धरि कि आसो कि राती 9 टा तक एटलीस्ट एठी बसो 7 ରୁ 9 टा बसला पर आराम से तुम माने कोन करिबा ते समय 14 घंटा जदि एठी रोज तो एटलीस्ट तो दिन बट 14 दिन तो पढिया कि छाबो काई ना मान कि पढुबे तो आमे सेठी समस्त के एटा लाइब्रेरी आगु तो पिला एटा पढुबे बट एबो सब आमे स्टार्ट करिछु जो माने स्पेशली यूपीएससी ओपीएससी होउछथि तो एठी जो रहिबो 14 घंटा मॉड्यूल बनौछु मेंटरशिप प्रोग्राम तो तममान को गोटे सार कहबो 10 15 माने गाइड करिया पाई जहां भी तमरो प्रॉब्लम तो सारम सारे डिस्कशन करबो जति समाजे तो आउ माने ता आउ अपना आउ हमें बेसिकली फोकस करू आंसर रे प्रतिदिन गोटे दुटा क्वेश्चन आपण टेस्ट करू लाइब्रेरी करे प्रोग्राम रे सब दिन आंसर लेखा हो आंसर चेक हो आंसर दिया सो दैट कि सेटा तुमको हेल्प करिवो मेंस राइटिंग रे तो मेंटरशिप प्रोग्राम के रोज ता डिटेल तळे हमर काउंट रे आउ आडिशन रो हमर एकेडमिक को असोसिएट कर असिस्टेंट डायरेक्टर तो जहाँ भी जहाँ सिविल सर्विस रिलेटेड किसी भी कंफ्यूजन अच्छी किसी भी रोचे सार सब अवेलेबल सार संगे इंटरेक्शन कर परिबो पर्सनली କଥା ହେଇ परिबो प्लस रहिला जोटा हमर ऑप्शनल कोटा नबु को सब्जेक्ट पढि पढि सब डिटेल रे भी हमर क्लास रूम रे जेना को डिटेल हम करे करूछु कि केमति करिया दरकार निजर पर्सनल काम के ପାଇଁ तो जहाँ भी कंफ्यूजन इति सार को कि काउंसलर को କଥା हो तो बाकी ମୁଁ ୱିଶ୍ କରିବି କି ସମସ୍ତେ ମନ ଦେଇ ପାଠ ପଢ ଯାହା ବି ମାନେ ସିଭିଲ ସର୍ଭିସ ନହେଲେ ବି ଯୋଉ ବି ଚାକିରି ତମେ ତାପରେ ହଉଛନ୍ତି ତ ଇଫ୍ ୟୁ ଆର୍ ମାନେ ଏମ୍ ଫର୍ ଦ ଷ୍ଟାଡି ୱିଲ୍ ଲାଇନ୍ ଅଫ୍ ଯୋଉଟା କୁହାଯାଇଛି ତ ସିଭିଲ ସର୍ଭିସ ପାଇଁ ପ୍ରିପେୟାର ହେଲା ଚାକିରି ହେଲା ମାନେ ତମ ଜୀବନଟା ସେଠି ବନ୍ଦ ହେଲା ବଟ୍ ତମେ ଯୋଉ ଏକ୍ସପିରିଏନ୍ସ ଯୋଉ ମାନେ ଲର୍ନିଂ ର ପ୍ରୋସେସ ରେ ଯେତିକି ମାନେ ଗେନ୍ କରିବ ତ ଆଇଦର ୟୁ ୱିଲ୍ ବିକମ୍ ଏ ଅଫିସର ଅଦରୱାଇଜ ୟୁ ୱିଲ୍ ବିକମ୍ ଏ ଗାଇଡର या मोटिवेटर ଗୋଟେ ବହୁତ ଭଲ ଟିଚର ହେଇକି ଆସିବ ଯୋଉଟା ମାନେ ତାର ବି একটা ମୋବାଇଲ ପାଠ ନା ଶୁଣିଥିବ ସେ ବହୁତ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରୁଥିବ ସେ ସିଭିଲ ସର୍ଭିସ ପଢିସାରିଲା ମାନେ ନର୍ମାଲ ସିଭିଲ ସର୍ଭିସ ବନଉଛନ୍ତି ତ ତମେ ଯଦି ନିଜେ ବି ନହେଲା ଆଟଲିଷ୍ଟ ବହୁତ ସାରା ବହୁତ ଜଣଙ୍କୁ ତମେ ବନେଇ ପାରିବ ତ ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ୍ ରହିଲା କଥା ସେଥିପାଇଁ ସମସ୍ତେ ମନ ଦେଇ ପାଠ ପଢ ୱିଶ୍ ୟୁ ଅଲ୍ ଦ ବେଷ୍ଟ ଥ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ୟୁ
Thank you all.
ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ଆମର ଥିଲା ଗୋଟେ ଅଛି ବାନିକ ଯୋଉମାନେ ମାନେ ତମାନେ ବି ଜାଣିଛ ତମାନ କଲେଜରେ ବି ଯଦି କିଛି ମାନେ କାଉଣ୍ଟ ପଢି ତାଙ୍କର ତ ଆମ ପାଖରେ ପ୍ୟାରେଣ୍ଟସ୍ ମାନେ ନାହାନ୍ତି କାରଣ ପ୍ୟାରେଣ୍ଟସ୍ ନାହାନ୍ତି या माने आपनकर समान बहुत हेल्पफुल प्रोग्राम रखा है जेटा डिटेल एटी तळे कथा है ठीक আছে सर्वेंट बाबा ପାଇଁ बट से पढी परने तो ताको हमको रेफर हेल्प कर